Hello YouTube, my name is Rosalie and this is kind of a showcase of some projects I've been working on just over the years and just unfinished ideas. This first one was gonna be called Sin Idol. It was kind of a simulation of synapses in the brain and connecting them. I think this video right here is just kind of me trying to figure out how to connect individual neurons to form these kind of pathways for synapses to happen. And then for this final video, this was experimenting with the I can't remember the term exactly for the little white circles, but yeah, it was just basically a simulation of synapses. This was a video for No Place. This was kind of No Places went through a lot of different revisions, but this was kind of a very newer one that was made. Just kind of showing off some basic mechanics and features. Eventually I created my own pixel art in Ace Sprite, and this was kind of the first project in Unreal where I've tried to use my own pixel art to create like a 3D type of game. And then it ended up becoming this. And No Place has gone through a lot of drastic revisions like this. And I also wanted to experiment with having characters be like these Doom style 2D sprites that rotate according to where you're standing. In this project they were a bit buggy. And then this is what No Place looks like now. And this is kind of like a showcase of the weapons that will be in the game. And all the animations for the weapons are all done with just Blueprint. The shotgun is pretty recent also. This video right here was me trying to create some kind of submarine simulator similar to Barotrauma, but in 3D instead. And here I'm trying to figure out how to attach cameras to the submarine so you could see what's around it. This was a project called Epoxy, where I used Conway's Game of Life for the geometry of the levels. So all the blocks and stuff that you see are all living pixels based on the Game of Life within their little dimensions. And then I created a character that can walk around. This project was done in GameMaker, and all the physics were also done in GameMaker. I remember creating this in Studio 1.4, and then I realized that it was just kind of buggy, so eventually I moved on to GameMaker Studio 2, which definitely improved performance. And then this was kind of a chaotic level where I wanted to experiment with more abstract like level design and also like random tile generation. All the plants are procedural too. And then in this one, the letters are made up of living pixels, which, yeah, text would kind of fade away, and I would use that for dialogue and things like that. Eventually I added sound effects and also dynamic music, which kicks in here. All the music is done in layers for this game, so I had one pad or one synth, and then I would slowly layer them on top of each other. This game right here is Avum. There's a lot to say about Avum, but this is kind of how it started originally, and I also have some other videos on my channel that show Avum in more depth. And obviously this is a recreation of the hangar level from Doom. Kind of to test out what exactly we wanted to do in terms of the game. And very early on, it was very much like a Doom clone or a Quake clone. And while I was working on Avum, I also played Quake a lot, almost religiously. And this is what Avum looks like now. This was showcasing melee combat, being able to stab enemies. And it had this kind of lunge attack to it too, which felt really satisfying. This was a chess game I was working on where the pieces, it was kind of like Wizard's chess, where the chess pieces would attack each other and break them. This was a game I was working on in GameMaker called Pots and Perils, and it was probably the most mechanically dense and put together game that I've created, and it's pretty much playable at this point. It was all about breaking pots, essentially. The original idea was, what if I took, breaking pots in Zelda or something and made it a whole game, just centered around breaking pots. But there's gold that you can collect from these crystals, which all have different amounts. There's different attack types, like daggers and bombs. The depths are infinite, and they progressively get more difficult as you keep going deeper. But yeah, that was a fun project. This is also a video of No Place, where I tried to make it more like a Yume Nikki style or LSD Dream Emulator type game. These little cubes are called Lux, which I've kept in No Place for a while now. This was me kind of playing around with a asset pack from Jacob W. Go subscribe to him on Patreon, he's awesome. He's been modifying the advanced locomotion system that's really popular on the Unreal Engine marketplace. This project was going to use the low poly shooter asset pack, and this was kind of me experimenting with ragdolls and also like blood splatters. This was a unnamed project just called the Dark Project, also created in GameMaker. I used the CBNA Smart Light engine, which is like a French engine from a really talented programmer that I can't pronounce his name. And it's discontinued now, it's not in use, but I still love using it for almost all my projects. And the sprites are from some art packs on Itch called the Dark series. This was an experimentation with doors and automatic closing doors in a Backrooms game I was working on. The view has this very interesting leaning effect to it. This was a space project I was working on with Black Book's writer, Ian. It did not get very far, but I mostly worked on the spaceship. Eventually I got to working on this interesting HUD, which I believe I stole from another game, but I can't remember which game. This was just going to be the intro, you flying towards this space station, and then creepy stuff would happen on it. There's a lot of videos I could show for this game, Athenium, but this is probably the most fun to watch. It's just a speed run of pretty much everything we created for it. Just trying to get through it as fast as I can. This was mostly going to be a horror project based in a library, where the top part, I think it was the top 10 levels, were going to be a normal library, and then the bottom 10 would be this ancient kind of library hidden underneath. One big mechanic of the game was a chaos meter, where the longer you spent in the library, the more corrupt and decrepit things would become. More enemies would spawn, the textures would get all corrupted and warbled. The music would take on a different tone too. And yeah, that was pretty much a speedrun of breaking into the library itself. This was an AI test for Athenium, so kind of my first hand at seriously attempting some sort of AI that I believe the AI has like a cone radius where it can see you, like a visibility. Once you died, you would be taken to No Place, which is just Athenium's afterlife, pretty much. And then you'd have to find a way to escape. I wish I had better videos of this project, but this was an idle game I was working on with our main artist and developer. It was called Grove, which you can still play today, and I believe it's still online, and I'll post the link in the description. And it's much more updated than this video. But it was basically just a plant idle game. Just grow as fast as you can, pretty much take over the planet. This is another video for No Place, kind of definitely a more recent revision of it too. This was a world design snippet video I created, showing off the vibe I wanted to go for. And I believe one of the comments for this video said it gave off Yume Nikki vibes, which is exactly what I sought out to achieve, so I was very happy with that. Especially this right here, which was going to be the Lux Bank, where you would store your currency and take out loans, etc. This area was going to house like an infinite staircase, kind of like that one SCP, I can't remember its name. A big aspect of this version of No Place 2 was the idea of world linking. So similar to LSD, when you would bump into things, sometimes it would take you to a certain location, or if you bumped into a certain object, it would take you to a specific location with a specific vibe. And I kind of did the same thing with No Place 2. These last couple of GIFs are all going to be from Game Maker games that I was working on. Some of these are very old and some of these are fairly recent. This one right here was, you play as like a blind person and you have to use vibrations to figure out the level design. This was another game using the dark asset pack from Itch. This was from a game called Query, showcasing the combat for the game. It was like a hacking minigame that was inspired from Nier Automata's hacking. Around this time I was playing a lot of Caves of Cud, but I wanted a game mostly focused on just the caves themselves. This was Hieroglyph, a platformer where you play as a witch. I was just kind of working on platforming mechanics, but I didn't get very far with it. This was going to be a chicken farming game where you could build structures and get power. There was going to be simple automation like Factorio. So what did I learn on my game dev journey after making games since I was like 13? A lot. I definitely learned a lot, yeah.